Hey everybody, Paul Ramsey with Dr. Manny St. Victor, and in this episode of Hypnotic Thoughts, we're talking about affirmations, self-affirmations. If we go way back, the person that I most hear referred to as being sort of a real founder of the practice of giving self-affirmations, the French, I believe he was a French pharmacist, Emile Coué, who, when he would work with patients, in addition to whatever other treatments he would give them, which I should do a history of hypnosis thing on this one, Manny, he would have them say to themselves many times a day, he would have them say, every day in every way, I am getting better and better. And he found that having his patients say this really helped them turn things around. I have heard it debated a lot over the years. Some people saying, yes, affirmations are great. Other people saying affirmations are a bunch of bull hockey and don't really do anything. So that's what we're talking about today. Manny, do where are you weighing in on this?
Self-affirmations absolutely work. If you go to the very, very basic core of why they work, self-affirmations are a way of increasing the accessibility in your memory of your core values. And your core values, your brain uses two things, or your mind, whichever you want to think about, your thought process uses two things to determine the decisions you make and how you feel about them. Either environmental cues and what they call self-monitoring. If you're a high self-monitor, you want to blend in with the group. Now, if you're a low self-monitor, you're more in line with your attitude, your values, your beliefs, and what you stand for. So by using affirmations, what you do is you build up your sense of self, so you're more likely under threat or more likely, first of all, less likely to interpret something as a threat, and more likely to make your decisions based on what you believe, because you could think back to what you believe, and therefore that part of your thought process is more activated. And that's how memory works. Your entire memory works on what is most accessible and what you think is most relevant from time to time.
All right. Well, that answers it then. Yeah. Okay. So, well, help me take this further. The most interesting thing I found when I started looking into affirmations was a Carnegie Mellon study in which they found that students who were not typically doing well academically, when they were given affirmations, underperforming kids who were given affirmations actually improved their academic performance.
Yeah. Now, we can go really simple with this.
Yeah.
You have two ways you can deal with fear or any type of threat. You can go to fear management or you can go to danger management. Fear management means now you're sitting there thinking to yourself, okay, what does this say about me? How am I going to deal with this, etc. And that's fear management. Danger management is, can I limit the danger? Can I move myself from the situation? Can I change my behavior so that I'm less susceptible to this happening to me? Now, when you have someone who is in fear management mode, one of the ways to get them out of fear management mode is to increase their sense of self-efficacy, to help them feel as if they can do something about the threat. Because if the threat is too overwhelming, people go into fight, flight, freeze mode. They curl in the corner and they rock. So what you're trying to do is to get the person to have in their mind, and we talked about this a few sessions ago when we talked about intentions and the power of intention. Intentions are more accessible in memory than other ideas. So when you're in a situation, the situation activates your intentions. If I'm in a bathroom, then, do bathroom stuff. If I see my light, then I make a left turn. That's how we're used to thinking and how we prime our unconscious. Now, at a higher level of abstraction, so in a more general sense, you have your values. But sometimes a situation, it almost like makes you forget who you are because you're so busy like, who am I? What do I believe? And the more time you spend not reviewing those memories of who you are, the less that becomes part of your everyday narrative. With your daily affirmation, every day you're flooding your brain with this information. You know, I am independent, I am proud, I am strong. And when it's time to make a decision, you jump into your narrative and you're like, hey, every day from the last few days, I have told myself it's been important enough that I've made it a constant part of what I remind myself, that I want my narrative to be one where I am someone of high integrity. I'm a person of science. I'm kind. I have gratitude. These daily things become your story, and you behave according to what you remember hearing most often.
So if I'm hearing you right, let me run this back at you. So one of the important keys, though, is that if you're going to work with self-affirmations, they have to be values driven.
Yes.
And so before you even start thinking about what affirmations to make, you really got to think about what values are important to you. And then what recommendation would you make for people for how to connect the value to the actual words? Like, how do you get from value to, so this is what I say?
You think back to some examples of how you've behaved in the past, aligned with the value.
Successfully?
And, yeah, that didn't elicit regret afterwards.
Okay.
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 And then from there, you could look at that situation, and say, how would I describe myself in that situation? I was honorable. I was brave.
Yeah.
I was consistent. Some people, consistency is the thing they're most proud of. Yeah. You don't want to make these things obsessive, where they become a rut in your behavior and a rigid, non-flexible behavior, because that's maladaptive. Mm-hmm. But you want to be clear and aware of what your beliefs are, what you stand for, and if this happens to be the fight where you go down, how do you want to be remembered?
Right.
You know, because every fight, every challenge to your identity feels like the last battle. It feels threatening. Sure. But the ones when you've behaved in accordance with your values, and you've had integrity, you use those. You look back and you're like, you know, I was proud of me there. And then so make a habit of going back and patting yourself on the back and giving yourself your kudos for the things you've done that were consistent, and use them as lessons to go forward through repetition and selective remembering. Okay.
So now what I'm connecting in my mind is that in addition to the value that you identify, there also has to be some level of real self-efficacy, right? Because what I find is when people are maybe not having affirmations work, it's because they're trying to build affirmations that are like, I wish I was like this.
Yeah.
Right? But what you're really saying is make affirmations that are based on what you know is true about yourself.
Yeah.
And that you can pull off.
Yeah. And, baby steps. You gotta crawl before you can walk, grasshopper.
And remind yourself that you have this ability, that you do have self-efficacy in whatever this area is that you've identified, and then strengthen that further.
Yeah, it's important to pull up your resources, not your delusions. You know, you don't want to pull up, I wish I was more like this, because then you're looking at a deficit. You're looking at a future self that is deficient and maybe out of your reach. Yeah. But if you look back to your past self and pull those into the present and say, you know, I've taken those experiences, those life experiences, those challenges that I've overcome, those accomplishments that I've been proud of. If you take those are your resources that you know you've been able to do in the past. You know, you know that's in there somewhere. So go find those memories, and it's state management. Go back and find the state you were in. I was poised. I was calm. What did you do then? I didn't lose my temper. And move yourself to that semantic space and spend more time in that semantic space, in that emotional state, basically.
Yeah. This is great. And so I have a strong feeling that we should do a follow-up for this, where we pull some people in live and let some people talk with us about things they really want to improve in their lives, and how they might help them develop some affirmations that could help them do that and sort of help them craft those. What do you think of that idea?
I like it a lot.
All right. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to follow up with a live session after we put this up, and you guys tune into that and join us for that, and we'll do some real affirmation building in that live session. All right, that's cool. Until then, thank you so much, Manny. That was awesome.
Yeah, man, it was fun.
All right, join us again on Hypnotic Thoughts. I'm Paul Ramsey.
I'm Dr. Manny St. Victor.
All right, you guys have a great day.